What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of Boomer and Junior. I'm Boomer.
And I'm Junior.
Welcome back, everybody. It's good to see, or at least pretend to see, your beautiful faces on the other side of this. Zachy boy, how we doing? What's up, pal?
We're doing good. It was a good weekend. Got to see a University of San Diego football game. Beautiful
All
weather for
right.
that, which is good. Got some runs in, surfing, and good Halloween night. A few house parties for that. Yeah. How about you, Boomer? How was your weekend?
Before we get into my weekend, Zach, do you want to tell our listeners what your costume was and like what you did for Halloween weekend?
Oh yeah, for sure. So it was a combination. So I have two roommates, and I also got my girlfriend who wanted to do a costume with me. So we did something that combined for all four of us. So we went as characters from Zoolander, the 2001 movie, I think, comedy. So my roommate's already got the perfect hair to be like Derek Zoolander, so he was that. I was Owen Wilson's character with the long hair. And then other roommates we got to the villain, and then my girlfriend was one of the girls from the movie. So it's pretty sick.
Yeah, I just wanted to put that out there. I want people to know what you get up to outside the podcast. How was my weekend? My weekend was good. Low key a little bit. Got to see the family. Got to do some fun stuff with them. Got to watch some good football yesterday, which was pretty electric. Gotta say, pretty electric.
Pretty electric indeed, yeah.
And with
Starting
that-
off with a game that was maybe a little closer than expected. You want to start up our last week recap with the game you watched?
Yeah, it's the most electrifying game of the week. I'm just kidding. It's the unranked Purdue Boilermakers going into number 21 Michigan, the Big House, and only losing by 5 points. Final score 21 Michigan, Purdue 16. Let's be real. No one thought it was going to be this close. People thought Michigan was going to smoke Purdue by a good 30 points at least. Boilers kept it close against the Big Blue, man. I think the key thing that separated us from them, or I should say Michigan from us, was running back Jordan Marshall having a night, man. Damn near 200 rush yards, 185, and he carried all 3 touchdowns on his back. Like, I think Purdue kind of like, we're right there on the door, like at the doorstep, like they were knocking at points. At different points in time, it seemed like they might just crawl back and get another score, but sadly, as it has been the theme of the last couple of years, has fallen short, and Purdueing it every single weekend. Boilers fall short, 16-21.
That's the way it goes. Close score, though, as a Michigan State fan, and they lost by 11 points, but that included a last-minute touchdown Michigan State had to Michigan. This made my blood boil a little bit, if I'm being completely honest. But no. Shout out to Purdue. Maybe not all hope is lost there, like it seemed like at one point. So yeah,
I don't know.
maybe got a little something going. Yeah.
We'll see.
Anyways, moving on to a game that was not as close. We had Penn State marching into Columbus to take on the number 1 Ohio State Buckeyes. Now, this is a rivalry that has been kind of one-sided. I think Ohio State's won like the previous 8 matchups going into this game.
Yeah.
And I think going into this one, people were expecting yet another beatdown and to extend that win streak. Ohio State won 38-14, just taking care of Penn State, who's just been in shambles with coaching changes, starting QB out for the season.
Yeah.
It's just, it's the way it is. You just got to feel like it's a tough scene for Penn State fans, just hoping for the best for them. Julian Sayin, great game per usual for him this year. 316 yards and 4 touchdowns to the air, big-time stuff. And Ohio State star receivers really shining in this one. Jeremiah Smith, 123 yards and a couple TDs, and Carnell Tate, 124 yards and a touchdown as well. Those two guys are getting drafted probably first round over the next couple of years here. Just truly phenomenal wide receivers. And one other thing, too, I don't know, Nick, if you want to take this part or not. We had a little fun quote about Julian Sayin that came in this weekend, too.
I'm more than happy to, because when I saw it, I damn near fell out of my chair. Nick Saban on game day calling himself out that his quote was, the coach at Alabama played him on the scout team for his entire freshman year. And he goes, what a dumbass. And I'm just like, Nick Saban, this whole post-Alabama Nick Saban is so likable that you almost start to forget how crazy of a head coach he was before. I had to put that little thing in here for this game. Also, a little side thing, Drew Aller was back with the team this week in a boot on the sideline. Curious to see where he's going to end up next year. But, yeah, good game. Go Bucks. My next game I'm going to be covering is the number 2 Indiana Hoosiers going into Maryland and putting yet another beatdown, 55-10. There's a lot to uncover with this game, all right? With the quarterback situation, both the Mendoza boys getting chances to shine. Fernando, the starter, obviously 201 yards in the air, a tutty, an interception there as well, but also just doing the thing. Alberto getting in there as well, had a touchdown and a 50-plus yard run.
That was crazy. Did you see the highlight of that, dude? It was
I did, and it was nuts. It was absolutely nuts. Key thing to mention here too is they had a trio of running backs who all had 80-plus yards and a touchdown each. That doesn't happen anywhere, and I'm just like, I every week we talk about these Hoosiers, and it pains me as a Purdue grad to talk about how well they're doing. But having said that, holy cow! Like, I mean, how are you putting up these stats? And like, I've literally put this in my notes. I go, someone investigate these fools already. Something fishy's got to be going on.
Something's in the water in Bloomington, clearly.
I mean, I got to go back to Bloomington, man, if that's the case. Yeah. But Hoosiers get it done on the road.
It's crazy. Like you said, the trio of running backs shining like that is crazy. I mean, it's not that uncommon that we'll see 2 running backs be, really stars for a team. But 3 is just, I mean, there's only so many carries that can go around. So to get that kind of output out of 3 different guys in one game is just truly insane. And kind of explains, too, why Fernando Mendoza's stats maybe weren't shining as well. A lot of more ground game and stuff. So, yeah.
I had to go back and check numbers to be safe. But, they had 3 running backs. All had more than 80 yards and a touchdown. All right, enough about that game. I don't want to talk about the Hoosiers anymore.
Yeah, we'll move on to what a game is. I learned this from my dad a few years ago, and I thought it was awesome. The world's largest outdoor cocktail party, and that was the Georgia Bulldogs taking on Florida. The number 5 Georgia Bulldogs at the unranked Florida Gators. Yeah, like that world's largest cocktail party one.
That's the goofiest rivalry name. Like, I had to look this one up, but yes.
Yeah, no, it's great. Yeah, it's a great goofy name for a great goofy rivalry.
Goofy as hell.
Yeah, unranked Florida giving Georgia the business a bit. This was a close one. Bulldogs did escape with a win, but it was a 24-20 victory. Gunnar Stockton, big connection with Zachariah Branch, their star wide receiver, 112 yards, no touchdowns, but 112 yards though on 10 receptions, big time stuff. And Georgia getting the closer than expected, but still getting the win.
Yeah, I was keeping up with this game on the side. I honestly thought Georgia was going to take care of business, but then I found out they scored with 4 minutes left in the game, and that was I was Florida had them on the ropes, and in classic Georgia fashion, pulling it off. But yeah, man, interesting game. This next one, holy, okay, we had number 9 Vandy going into Austin, Texas to take on number 20 Texas. And the Longhorns coming out winners 34-31. There's a lot to talk about in this game, all right? I think the biggest thing to talk about is opening with this is Arch gets his statement win, right? And not only does he get his statement win, it's not like there's been a couple of wins for Texas this season where they've had other parts of the team shine. Arch was the man. Top 10 opponent. Arch goes off 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, right? Now, can't disregard the other guy on the offense on Vandy, Diego Pavia. 4 total touchdowns. That's 3 passing and 1 on the 1 rushing. Damn near, he had over 400 total yards. It's clear that Pavia is okay. I was gonna bring this up on the pod, but I think he's the front runner for the Heisman right now. That could be a small Boomer's bold take, but I saw the stats and I this game, how it was going, I'm Pavia low-key could snag that. I will say, one thing I'm going to say before I pass this out to Zach is there was an extremely controversial two-point play for Vandy. Ball didn't even cross the line on the replay. There's a clear recap of that, and they gave it to Vandy, and I'm just wow, okay, there's bad reffing calls all around, but what are we doing at this point? Anyway, that's all I had. But yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. This was one I was able to watch part of it, and really hard fought game. Like you said, Arch shown whole game, and that was huge for him. We knew that he was there. It would be one thing if Arch didn't play at all his first 2 years and was all of a sudden just kind of not really playing well as this, former perfect rated QB coming out of high school. But we saw him play in previous years. He started in previous years when Quinn Ewers was injured. We knew he was at least like good, if not great. And so this was just really let down season. It seemed like he's finally maybe getting it to click a little bit, which is really encouraging to see. He seems like a good kid. So he's got it together for this week. We'll see if that continues or not. And Nick threw this quote in. This is absolutely phenomenal. Arch in his post-game presser, he got a concussion the previous week, and people were asking about if that, how that impacted his performance, preparation, anything like that. And he said maybe the concussion helped. And hey, who knows? Maybe it did. Maybe he did, because he had a great day today or yesterday.
I'm hoping he rides off that high, man. Truly, it was good to see him finally come, show up to and be that guy that people thought he was gonna be.
Yeah. And this might be the kind of game that he needed, right? This might be the confidence booster against a top 10 team. Great performance that he needs, and he might just keep it on for the rest of the year. We'll see.
Hopefully, man. I mean, for Texas's sake, I hope so. I mean, they've got a long, it's a long shot to make the playoffs right now, especially with how competitive that SEC is looking. But, Texas gets the win at home. Next game, number 8, Georgia Tech. Previously undefeated Georgia Tech going into NC State and losing 48-36. Down goes Georgia Tech. I will say, Hayden Kingston, mother of God, 408 yards passing, 2 tutties, 103 yards rushing, and 2 rushing touchdowns. This man put Georgia Tech on his back, all right? The fact that they still lost after he did all that by himself, really, NC State did something, man. Special shout out to NC State running back Jaden Scott. He had almost 200 yards just rushing and a touchdown. NC State's quarterback passed for over 300 yards and 3 total tutties, man. NC State had a plan, they executed it, and they executed perfectly to take down Georgia Tech. I think they're still going to be fine in ACC action the rest of the season. Things are going to get a little tricky, obviously, but with how good Virginia's doing and all that kind of fun stuff, and a couple other guys like Louisville and whatnot. But it's obviously sad to see a team get their first loss in the season after they're doing so well, man. But good on NC State. Go Wolfpack. Good job.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, this was definitely a sad loss. Georgia Tech was kind of a fun team to pull for just because they haven't had as much success recently. So it was really exciting to see their run. But obviously getting the blemish on the record. Haynes King, that's just what he does, man. Big dual threat guy right there. And he really put on full display, like you said. And I'm a really big fan, too, of NC State's quarterback, CJ Bailey. I watched a game earlier this year. I don't remember who their opponent was, but he really looked like him. And, he had a great performance in that game as well. So, NC State, they just hung with Georgia Tech. I think Georgia Tech only led at 1 point in the game, and it was 4 points. So, NC State just out-offense Georgia Tech, basically. Yeah.
Ooh. All right.
Good stuff. Moving on to a different ACC matchup now. Nick, you want to talk about Miami SMU?
Before I do that, Miami, what happened? We had number 10 Miami come into my hometown of Dallas, Texas to take on the SMU Mustangs and lose 26-20 in overtime, all right? I had to throw in the what happened because it was beautiful. But Carson Beck throwing 2 interceptions, especially the one that happened in overtime. This game was electric. I thought Miami was going to come into town and take care of business, but holy, SMU held on, man. I think the key things to talk about in this game was the crowd rushing the field, taking down the goalpost, and throwing it in the fountain at SMU. Things we love to see, right? Now, these are 2 teams I don't necessarily care for. I care for Miami a lot less than I care for SMU in the sense of I actually despise the University of Miami. And I think Carson Beck is a fraudulent quarterback. Having said that, Miami 6-2 on the year, hurting their own playoff chances. Things I love to see. I want Carson Beck's true persona to come out, and I think the thing that I'm going to end on this. All right, they've taken 2 losses this year, and in both of these losses, this is just a testament to how Beck's personality, quite frankly, but he just never takes the blame for things that go wrong. He's always passing blame off to other guys on his team. Against SMU, he passed blame off to the coaching staff, and I'm just like, that says a lot about your leading capabilities, and your like just who you are in the team. And it's things like that have just never made me a fan of Carson Beck, and I hope they don't make the playoffs. I really don't.
Yeah, for context, folks, the quote in the presser after the game was he said, "I just execute the play that's called." Something about like some of the play calling and stuff like that.
It's crap like that.
Things falling apart down the stretch.
It's crap like that, man.
Yeah. Carson Beck is definitely falling from glory a bit. Something about these Georgia quarterbacks doing great in the system with the offense, but then A, sucking once they get out of it, and B, also just being like the worst guy ever. Like this
or
is
batshit crazy. Yeah,
Stetson Bennett. I think we all knew at the time that Stetson Bennett wasn't like a great. I mean, he was obviously playing Division I. Power 4 football, for Georgia. He's not bad, but like definitely putting up stats that suggest better than they actually are. And yeah, both those guys are a bit of headaches in the locker room too, I would imagine.
For various reasons.
Yeah,
but yes.
It was tough. This is interesting for the ACC's playoff hopes because they were looking like a 3-ish bid league potentially, with Georgia Tech undefeated, Miami 1 loss, Virginia and Louisville 1 loss. And they don't really play each other much in the regular season, but yeah, now you got a couple of these other key teams getting losses. I think there's still a good chance that the ACC gets 2 bids, but 3 and 4 I think are out of the picture.
Especially with how SEC's heating up, right? Like, I think it's gonna be interesting if the ACC can have a 3rd bid in there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. All right, pal, what do you got?
Yeah, moving on next, going over to SEC territory now. Got number 18 Oklahoma at number 14 Tennessee. Oklahoma getting the road win, 33-27.
Go Sooners, man.
Volunteers
Go
losing
Sooners.
at home. Interceptions, tough scene for them. Mateer did not have any touchdowns through the air, which is pretty wild considering how much we were hyping him up through the first couple weeks of the year as a quarterback. But did get 1 through the ground, though, which was good. Solid win for Oklahoma. Nick, I don't know if you want to talk about this anymore.
Yeah. No, man, I think the key takeaway, there's 2 key, the key takeaway here, man, and it's sad to say this specifically because I was a big, John Mateer fan at the start of the year. I still kind of am because I know his potential. Man, that injury to his hand and his thumb, truly, he's just not been the same ever since. I think they should have rested him a little bit longer before throwing him back into the fire, especially, against Texas ball opponents when they first brought him back. You don't just have surgery and come back to play football 17 days later. That's horrible. I don't care how revolutionary the medicine is behind that. It's clear that it's impacted their offense and their passing game, and so I think give him some time.
And you got to give props to the kid for wanting to play and tough it out. Right? You got to give props to him for that. It's just his body can only do so much.
As someone who has hurt himself all over his body for a good chunk of his life, and it has been through his fair share of injuries, I think the big takeaway is let it do its thing. Your urges to go out and play, let it do its thing and heal up. But I'm done with talking about that.
Separate quick note while we're talking about John Mateer. This is a complete tangent, but I saw some highlight the other day that was just crazy to think about. It was a play from Washington State from a few years ago, and it was Cam Ward and John Mateer, some weird 2 quarterback formation play that they ran. There was
Washington
they did a read option basically with it. And it's just crazy to think that Washington State had this past year's number 1 overall draft pick, Cam Ward, and fell off a little bit with the injury, but I think he's going to turn it around a bit and still have a good future ahead of him. John Mateer, that's just crazy to think about. Tough scene for the Cougars getting those guys poached, but very impressive, though, getting those guys in the system.
Yeah, that's we can blame that to the Pac-12 falling apart, but our next game, though, is number 17, the Cincinnati Bearcats, going into Utah to play number 24, the Utes. And oh boy, getting blown out 45-14. Now I actually was able to catch pretty much most of the back half of this game, and man, the Utes put up another 40-plus point game this year. I think it's their 6th one on the year. Offense clearly has the firepower to keep pushing it, man. I think key thing to point out with Cincinnati is like Sorsby was really the only guy putting stuff up there. Like I think he was in, like he had both the touchdowns. I think I could be wrong, but at the same time, like he clearly was like the only guy doing anything on that side of the ball. Yeah, and like both the second and the fourth quarter, they put up no points, and so like I think consistently the Utes just like ran a train all over them, and so it's like. Yeah, I mean, the Cincinnati's going to fall. Utah's pushing, making their way through the Big 12, man. I think the Utes, if they keep this momentum up, are going to make a really serious case to make that Big 12 championship game, man. Yeah, go Utes. Good stuff. Good game.
Yeah. If nothing else, Utah would. I hope they can find a way to sneak into the playoffs somehow, dude. That would be like such a fun team to be in there. They've got, like this. I mean, obviously the defense played well, holding Cincinnati, who's been pretty good on offense this year, to only 14 points, and they've just been lighting it up offensively. That would be such a fun. Imagine, granted, this won't happen with how the seeding's going to work out, but hypothetically, like a Georgia Tech Utah matchup, that's going to be like must-see TV with like scoring.
That's gonna be an offensive shot. That's gonna be an offensive shutout, dude. Holy crap!
Yeah. So, yeah, tough scene for Cincinnati. I was, kind of pulling for Brendan Sorsby. It seems, just really electric on the field. Fun style of play to watch. So it was fun cheering on the Bearcats a bit. But yeah, this was definitely a major detriment to their season. But big win for the Utes, though.
Go Utes! Go Utes!
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then waltzing back over to ACC play. At the number 16 Louisville Cardinals, taking on Virginia Tech, winning 28-16. Solid win for Louisville. Nothing like too flashy, I guess, but Brahms got that team continuing to march and move through. Doing a pretty good job through that ACC slate. Virginia Tech's defense got spread a bit thin. Miller Moss is just, really bouncing back after a rough year at USC last year and really finding himself in this Louisville system. So,
man, if there's one thing I will say, I will say a couple things. Like, Braum really is a good, like, QB whisperer, man. This is the guy that brought Aiden O'Connell, who was, like, 7th string on the depth chart, walk on at Purdue to, like, take Purdue to, like, the Big Ten championship a few years ago, man.
And to have an NFL career. That's the craziest part about that is that man started an NFL game.
Multiple games, right?
Yeah.
Like beat out guys like Jimmy Garoppolo to like have a starting gig. And like I think that's the same thing we're seeing with Miller Moss, man. Like Brahms just really good at like really like developing quarterbacks, and I think I think Virginia Tech, like, they're having not a great year, but I mean Louisville is sticking to the plan and really making a case for them in the ACC. The ACC is looking like good this year, man, and like it's good to see that kind of like happen given how the ACC was just kind of like shaky these last few years. But love to see it, man.
A title contender, it feels like. I don't think any team in the ACC is going to win the national championship. When Miami was still undefeated, I thought they had a shot. I don't know if at this point if I think any teams do, but a lot of teams that I feel like deserve to be in the playoff and could win a game or two.
Yeah, man. I remember when Miami was number 2, like I was like, this team is a juggernaut. We're talking NFL caliber team, but in college. But yeah, man, go Cards. Our last matchup for recap is the number 12 Fighting Irish of Notre Dame going into BC and taking the dub 25-10 on Boston College. What? Boomer's talking about other Notre Dame game? Shocker. We got there's some key things to talk about in this game. It wasn't as clean as you think. Key thing is there were 3 missed extra points from 2 different kickers. 2 different guys. Like, for context, I've never seen my dad this irate at a football game ever. It was wild. I mean, offense still did their job. CJ, and Jeremiah both getting involved for 2 touchdowns each. Couple of things, man, like there's some really controversial calls by the refs. Both of the last 2 Notre Dame games, the refs have been really controversial. But yeah, I mean, the big thing, I mean, even Marcus Freeman talked about this like at halftime of like they gotta address their kicking situation. I can only imagine what this next week is gonna look like for those kickers on the team, man. Like I almost don't want to imagine like what they're gonna go through to get their shit together. But like, Notre Dame gets the dub on the road, man, and so they're just gonna. I like how they're going through it, man. They obviously had those 2 losses to start the season, but now they got a plan. They got to win out, and so they're doing the thing. They're going through the process and they're winning out as best as they can. Yeah, man, go Irish.
Yeah. The only thing with Notre Dame that's a little weird is for their playoff hopes at this point. They're, they had the 2 losses and their schedule shouldn't be too bad the rest of the year. But yeah, with the whole Miami losing, it's making things a little nice maybe. But I think, well, the other thing too though then is, Miami's, not as good of a contender to make the CFP potentially. So I think if Notre Dame wins out and doesn't have any like overtime games or like really close games, I think they're going to make it in there. But yeah.
Go Irish, man. Go Irish.
All right. Well, that'll conclude our recap, and then move us on to our next segment, our Boomer's Bold Take. So, Boomer, hit us with your bold take.
All right, guys. I got a decent one for this week, all right? So, we've obviously talked a lot about the ACC and how the teams are looking in that conference and, how they've got a lot of good, solid, I'd say, strong teams. Like, obviously, as Zach said, nothing to win the Natty, but, there are teams out there that'll put up a fight. Having said that, I think that Virginia's, I don't think Virginia's going to hold on to the number 1 ranking in the ACC throughout the season. I think they've still got one more opponent that's like a sneaky opponent, and I think that's Duke. I think they play them in 2 weeks. Duke just beat Clemson last night, by the way, and we know. Okay, I know. I gotta preface okay, Clemson isn't the Clemson they've been the previous years. They're 3-5, whatnot, but they're still Clemson, all right. If needed, they can get in their bag and do the things they should be doing, but they're not doing that clearly this year. Having said that, coming back to Virginia, they're looking really good. They're undefeated in ACC play. But look at how things are heating up around them, right? Louisville, Georgia Tech is still a really, really, really good team, all right? I don't think they hold on to that number 1 spot through the rest of the regular season. Could be wrong, but that's Boomer's Bold Take this week, guys.
Yeah, we'll see. It definitely seems like a fair point. Chandler Morris definitely got that team cooking pretty well from the QB position. But, yeah, there's a lot of teams in that ACC kind of in the top third or whatever there that are all, pretty darn good. Nobody's separating themselves, like you said, but all pretty darn good. So, yeah, they could definitely end up falling.
I could see it. That's Boomer's Bold Take. And let's enough of me. Let's move back over to Junior. Moving over to Junior's jumbo stat for the week. I honestly love this stat because it's random numbers. But Junior, what's the number for this week, pal?
Number this week is 286. That is .286. That is Miami's win percentage in the months of November and December since 2022.
Things we love to see.
Obviously, this is a horrendous line, right? You think about that translate throughout the course of a season. If you do that through the year, you're going to finish 3-9, which I don't think any team in the country is happy with a 3-9 record. Truly awful in those months, and they, that's fresh off of this loss they took this past Saturday. And it isn't like they've been terrible the entire, year in these years, right? Every season, they're not just 3-9 the whole year. There are in August through October in the same time frame, they're 774, so closer to a 9-3 type of a thing in that time frame. So wins cut in a third basically there.
Yeah.
Pretty insane juxtaposition, and this might be indicative of your schedule typically being harder probably in November, December than in earlier in the year. But still, you're getting some solid ACC play in October and stuff. So yeah, just thought that was a really crazy drop off and a little concerning for the team, I guess, finishing off on the season.
Yeah, man, players get hurt. Obviously, you're dipping into your second and third strings possibly at different points in time. But I'm not going to complain about that. I don't care about the University of Miami. I love that number. It's great. Having said that, we're going to move on to our next segment, and that's playoff impact games of the week. Before I kick us off, let's preface it's a weird one. We don't have as many impactful games this week, but there's a couple good ones. I'm going to kick us off. It's number 8, BYU. Got some top 10 action going into Lubbock to play number 9, Texas Tech. I saw College Game Day is going to be there next weekend, man. And I had no I didn't know they were playing BYU. But I was like, why are they going to Lubbock? I was like, who could Texas Tech be playing? Big game. BYU at Texas Tech. Top 10 showdown, big one in the Big 12. I think this one is going to be like this. This one's going to tell us who's like going to be the front runner in the Big 12, in my opinion. BYU is obviously on a tear this year, and I think Texas Tech's I think they both only have one loss in the year. And so, yeah, man, I'm personally rooting for the Red Raiders. Got some Texas pride. I love Texas Tech. I love their quarterback a lot. I think he's an absolute gunslinger. But yeah, big one to look out for.
My only counterpoint to you there is that BYU's Bear Bachmeier has an objectively cooler name than any player in the Texas Tech QB room. So, just saying.
I'll recognize that. I'll give you that.
I'm excited. Game day is going to be here. This is definitely the matchup of the weekend. This should be a really fun game to watch. I'm stoked to see this matchup. Yeah.
Big time.
Mm-hmm. Moving on to the next game, dipping over to the SEC territory. Number 3 Texas A&M at number 19 Mizzou. This will be an interesting matchup. A&M is going to be favored in this game, which we'll talk about in a little bit. And I think that seems fair that they probably should win. But Mizzou hanging on for dear life right now. Got Zollers in at quarterback with the Prabula injury. I don't believe Prabula is going to be back
for the year. He's out for the year.
Yeah. So, yeah, they'll have Zollers. But Zollers looked good, though. So this would be an interesting matchup to see if Mike Elko and Marcel Reed and company are able to keep on winning. They are A&M's at 8-0 now, I believe.
Yep,
and
undefeated.
So they are officially in the territory because that's the whole bit, right? Is that A&M goes 8-4 every year. So it'd be really funny if
that would be
starting a 4-game losing.
That would be.
I don't think that's going to happen, but
that'd be so comedic and so just like. I think my coworkers who are A&M grads would probably lose their shit. Personally, as a Notre Dame fan who lost to A&M, I'm rooting for nothing but good things for A&M throughout the rest of the year. I want them to have the best years they've had in years. But yeah, big matchup in the SEC. Our next game is going to be a little bit of a curveball to this section, but it's number 1 Ohio State at Purdue.
The Purdue Boilermakers.
Thanks for stealing my bit, Zach.
I'm sorry.
Now, you might be asking, is Nick just favoring his Purdue Boilermakers again this week? I mean, I always am because I'm delusional like that. But having said that, we're called the Spoilermakers for a reason. Now, don't get me wrong. This year, I'm not that delusional. But having said that, crazier shit has happened with this matchup in the past. All right, shout out 2018 when number 2 Ohio State came into unranked Purdue night game, and we took a fat dump on them. I have a coworker at work that is an OSU grad, and he's like a lifelong OSU guy, all that kind of fun stuff. But every time Purdue comes up, he's like, I don't want to talk about it. He legitimately will not talk about this matchup because he's like, I don't trust anything that happens in West Lafayette. Straight from him. This is straight from him. And so, yeah, it's gonna be a fun one to watch, I think, if you're an OSU alum. But yeah, putting this down here, I'm hoping for something selfishly. Maybe Purdue pulls off something. We'll see. But good matchup to keep an eye out for.
Yeah, I definitely don't have all the same factors leading into it. Also, that Ohio State team was. I remember, was that like a JT Barrett team that was like a little overrated at the time?
Possibly.
When Purdue did get that upset. Okay, yeah. And then also Purdue had, future NFL receiver Rondale Moore and some pretty. It wasn't like it was a scrub of a squad. Not to mention, Jeff Brom, again, we've talked about, great coach, somewhat proven coach too at the time.
Trick plays, baby. Jeff Brom, it's his bread and butter.
Yeah. So. Yeah, I agree. Probably not as much hope as there was going into that one, but hey, you never know. Things, I wouldn't say crazier things, but things just as crazy have happened in West Lafayette.
There you go. I like that. That's a good way to put it. That's a good way to put it.
Yeah. And then for our final playoff impact game of the week, we're going to go to Kinnick Stadium in Iowa. We'll have the number 6 Oregon Ducks facing off against the Iowa Hawkeyes. Iowa, quiet 6-2 on the year. I don't know if they've been ranked at any point this year, but 6-2, 2-loss Big Ten team, that's a guaranteed playoff bid right there. So they're staying alive in that race right now, in the duck hunt, you could say. Oregon, obviously, number 6, highly ranked team. Only loss on the year was to a really good Indiana team. Um, Oregon's still going to be well in the playoff picture if they lose this game, but Iowa, this could squarely put them in the race to get back in if they're able to somehow get this one. I do think Oregon's probably going to win this one. Dan Lanning's really got that team cooking pretty well, but weird things happen in Kinnick Stadium. Weird things happen there. It's going to be a good matchup.
That's fair, man. Yeah, Iowa was ranked at some point, I believe. I think they just took a couple of losses, right? And so, I love to see an upset. I love Oregon as a team, but would love an upset here, just for the entertainment, quite frankly. Having said that, we're gonna go off into our next segment. It's one of our favorites. It's Boomer Junior Blitz. I'm gonna kick us off here with a game we talked about. Actually,
really quickly, Nick, before you dive into this, I want to mention that when we were filling out our picks, before I could even get to them, Nick took the first 2 picks that I wanted to take, and this is one of them. So I just wanted to lead off with that Nick stole my picks.
Okay, you snooze, you lose, in my opinion, all right? You snooze, you lose, and I had first pick, all right? Having said that, I'm going to be very proud that I picked this one. Number 2, Indiana, going into Happy Valley to play Penn State. In previous years, you would have said Penn State's going to take a fat old dumperoonie on them, right? Indiana, though, is favored this year by 13.5 points. Dude, I think they blow them out by like 3 scores, man, this game, real talk. Like, I think they blow them out. I was going to say 4, but I was going to be a little conservative. Like, it's either 3 or 4 scores, quite frankly. I wouldn't be surprised if they limit Penn State to like a field goal, quite frankly. But yeah, man, I'm going with the Indiana Hoosiers on this game. That's where I'm going with this one.
Yeah, this is a Penn State team that just desperately needs the season to end so that way they can reset and move on. Like I said, I sympathize with the program. I do hope that they're able to, find a head coach that'll kind of bring some stability over the offseason and they won't have any injury issues and stuff. But Indiana's gonna thrash them.
It's not gonna be pretty.
I guess they did only lose 38-14 against Ohio State, but I don't know. Something about Indiana, Kurt Cignetti is gonna just get that fire in his eyes, and I could see like a 42.
Why does Kurt Cignetti always look like he wants to kill someone? Like, that's my question.
Kurt Cignetti looks like he's in between murders at any given moment. Like, he looks like he's.
But also needs to take a shit at the same time. You know what I mean? Like
constipated Kurt.
That's so good. That's so good. Oh man, that's so good. I love that. Constipated Kurt. I love that.
Icon. Anyways, moving on from constipated Kurt. Next matchup that we want to talk about for playoff impact. I mean, sorry, not playoff impact. I'm thinking that because I called this for playoff impact.
Yeah.
Boomer Junior Blitz. The number 6 Oregon Ducks at Iowa. Spread's only 6.5. So the sports books are clearly thinking the same thing that I'm thinking.
Yeah.
In terms of this is going to be a close one. Iowa with that, stout defense, obviously. Weird things happening in Kinnick. Probably not going to be a massive margin. I do agree, though. I do think Oregon is going to take this win. 7 seems fair. I could see as many as like 14 points, probably realistically. I just think that Dan Lanning and Oregon are too locked in to drop this game. They will get a win, albeit a potentially close one.
Yeah, I think Lanning's gonna have those boys drilled down, man, like locked in. I think Oregon's gonna come out with the win, maybe by 2 scores, honestly. My next pick for Blitz was I was just going through the games for next week and the lines and stuff, and I noticed there's some interesting ACC action. 2 teams that are historically big powerhouses, but just not having a great year this year on either end. It's the Florida State Seminoles at Clemson. They've got Clemson favorited by 2.5 because they're the home team. But I think Norvell's going to have that FSU team a little more dialed in than Dabble has, like Clemson just right now. So I'm actually calling FSU to win. Like I said, spreads at 2.5. I think they could beat them anywhere between like a touchdown and maybe 10 points, man. I think FSU is going to win this one though, like for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, when I was thinking about taking this one before I saw that you picked it, I was thinking of calling it the Disappointment Bowl, because that is absolutely what this season has been for both of these teams. Clemson starting a little early in the year, falling to LSU. However, And actually, FSU had a hot start, but has since fallen short and has been getting thrashed in ACC play.
Pretty mid.
Yeah, there's two teams that have definitely been underperforming, and we'll have some interesting offseason conversations. But moving on to the next one, got the red hot Washington Huskies, ranked number 24 this week, going into play Wisconsin in Madison, favored by 11.5. I don't think Wisconsin's like a terrible team, but Wisconsin's looking so good with it's DeMond Williams is their quarterback. They're just on one right now. I think Washington's going to win this game like a 17, 24-point margin or something like that and cover that 11.5-point spread.
Yeah, my buddy at work who's a Wisconsin grad, we were texting about some game stuff, and he just was like, this Wisconsin team is so trash right now. It's bad. It's hard to watch. Yeah, man. Go Huskies. Huskies. My next game for Blitz is we talked about this in the Impact games, but it's number 3 Texas A&M going into Mizzou. Number 19 Mizzou, might I add. Line's at 5.5 right now for the A&M for the Aggies. I think A&M is going to handle business. I think they're going to go into Mizzou. Now, we talked about Zollers like being a good backup quarterback. He's like calm under pressure and all that kind of fun stuff. But I just think that A&M team is so rounded off that they're going to take care of business pretty well. I think, honestly, by 2 scores at the minimum, maybe more. Oh, wow. But maybe more. I'd lean on the more side, quite frankly. I think A&M is going to go in there and take care of business pretty soundly.
Yeah, this will definitely being at Mizzou will help in terms of Zollers keeping his nerves and stuff about him. However, yeah, this Texas A&M squad is just a really polished team, it seems, and
good rounded off package, man.
So you could definitely see them ended up winning this one by a big margin still. Yeah.
Big time.
Last one, no ranked teams here. I wanted to pick one that was a little more fun, and I actually might end up going to this game. It's going to be Nebraska at UCLA. UCLA favored by 2.5. I will take that. However, I will say the reason why I feel bad for picking it, fairly sad. Dylan Raiola did get injured this past week, and I believe I heard he's out for the season. Sorry to hear that for the kid. We clown on him a little bit at times for, his Patrick Mahomes, crush or whatever it seems like. But he seems like a good kid, though, so do feel bad for that and hope that he gets better and, back on the field as soon as he can. However, UCLA did cool off. They aren't undefeated anymore with that new staff. However, I do like them at home. Bit of travel for Nebraska in the Rose Bowl. Jerry Neuheisel calling plays still. I dig it. I'm going Bruins by 2.5.
Dude, you put a bunch of Midwestern corn people in sunny LA. I don't think they come out with a win with a dub. Yeah, I yes. To Zach's point, we've clowned on Dylan Raiola. Obviously, get better soon, man. Like that sucks for an injury. Having said that, I'm not a Dylan Raiola fan at all. I think he's all talk, zero game. In fact, I think UCLA is going to be just fine in this game.
He's definitely been disappointed. He was really highly touted coming out of high school. He still has, honestly, kind of Drew. I feel like he and Drew Aller are the same guy. It's just Drew Aller has had a better team around him, so he's performed better. But I feel like they've had pretty similar trajectories, being really highly rated coming out of high school and just not really developing that much.
That's a take. Yeah. Okay. All right. I got to process that, but okay. Go on.
It's kind of a random, unnecessary comparison, but yeah.
Yeah. All right.
Anyways, this would normally bring us to the end of our episode. However, we've got November 3rd is tomorrow as of recording this podcast. This is probably going to be posted on Wednesday or something like that. But anyways, this week, though, marks the beginning of regular season college basketball play. Let's go, baby. I'm stoked. We are entering the best time of the year. We've got the overlapping college basketball and college football slate. I'm excited. Boomer's excited. You should be excited.
Hell yeah.
Let's get into a few big matchups for this week. Starting off, opening night, we got number 3 Florida against Arizona, number 13 Arizona, playing in Las Vegas. This will be the reigning champs Florida Gators going against the Caleb Loveless Wildcats. I think this will be a good matchup. I think Florida still got a lot of key pieces from that season. So they got preseason All-American Alex Condon still on the team, the forward slash center there.
Yeah.
I think Florida is going to get the win here, especially helping its neutral site. Arizona, I think, is probably going to put up a good fight, though. So this would be a really entertaining and a great matchup to watch on the first night of college basketball.
Yeah, one of my favorite managers at work, shout out Lizzie, is a Florida Gator grad, and I was with her when we watched them win the national championship game this year. So I'm gonna be rooting for Florida in this one. Our next game we're looking at is number 15 Alabama at number 5 St. John's in Madison Square Garden. Man, we got a matchup between Nate Oates and Rick Pitino. Man, that's one that I'm gonna love to see this weekend, or whenever it is this week. I actually don't know when it is, but. Zach, how do you pronounce this guy's name? I'm gonna butcher this.
I believe it is LeBaron Philon.
Okay.
I should have confirmed that before we recorded, but it's LeBaron Philon. Yeah.
This guy seems like he's like the next big thing, and so LeBaron Philon, man, leading the Crimson Tide, it's gonna be big.
He's been playing great for them in these previous years. Yeah, he's a
gonna
stud.
Be big. He's gonna be big.
Yeah. So that'll be a fun matchup too. Obviously, great head coaches. I don't know if Pitino's in the Hall of Fame already or not, but I'm sure he will be. And Nate Oates,
he's going to be if he's not already.
Nate Oates seems like he's on the way with the way he's got Alabama playing. So, yeah, it's be a fun matchup. This is
absolutely.
I believe this is on Saturday. This will be November 8th, I think, is when this matchup is. So, big one in the Garden. You'll love to see it. That'd be really cool.
Yeah, man.
And then the final one, I'm going to be talking about a Michigan State ranked basketball matchup, baby. We got the number 14 Arkansas Razorbacks going into the Breslin Center in East Lansing to take on the number 22 Michigan State Spartans. You got John Calipari versus Tom Izzo, two of the greatest to ever do it. Izzo's a little better in my opinion. But anyways, not that I'm biased. No, this would be a really cool matchup. I'm excited to see this Arkansas team and Calipari's, I believe, second year at the helm there. I feel like Michigan State is ranked, which I honestly wasn't expecting. I thought they were going to get a little more hate and be unranked going into the year. They did get that at least. I do think this team is being slept on a little bit, though. They've got some pieces to kind of integrate and kind of develop and stuff throughout the year.
Okay.
I think this team has the capability to make it to a Final Four, though. Not saying that they will per se, but they've got some. I mean, you've got Cohen Carr, who's the best athlete in college athletics on your team. I will stand by that claim. At him, Jeremy Fears running the point. They had some solid transfers come in to kind of fill in some gaps. And you've got Carson Cooper and Jackson Kohler as senior year forward/center front court. I think this is going to be a really good Michigan State squad. I think in the Breslin Center, MSU is going to get this victory. I think Arkansas is going to make it a really good game, though. I think this will be a really fun one to watch as well.
Yeah, man. Any Calipari team, those guys are dogs. And I think, I think you put it really well. I think they're going to bring the fight to MSU. But, man, in Breslin, MSU's always going to be, you can't just, discount them by any means. And so, yeah, I'm actually going to be rooting. I'm always rooting for Michigan State in this game. But, go Spartans. Yeah, there you go. I almost lost that one.
Go green, baby.
I almost lost that one. All right, Zachy boy, close us off, pal.
Anyways, so with that, that'll bring us to the end of our episode. Thank you so much, as always, for tuning in, everyone. Really appreciate it. Make sure YouTube, Spotify, subscribe, rate, follow, all that jazz. As always, feel free to email us at officialboomerandjunior@gmail.com if you got, feedback, questions, discussion topics you want us to go over, or drop it in the comments on YouTube or anything like that. And make sure you follow us on our social media. We got the Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, and YouTube shorts going. The fun extra bonus content, posting updates on there. It's some good extra stuff. So make sure you check it out.
On that note, go Boilers, go Irish, and see you guys later.
And go green, baby. Go green. See y'all.
Yeah.